Thanks, Jivo. Thanks, Jivo. Had no idea you had a YouTube. Yeah, we do. I gotta get Streamlabs the little bot to post it every once in a while in streams so people can remember. So let's check this out here. We'll check this one out first about the Tauren rogues.
News of Dragonflight, and that is that a lot of new race/class combinations will be coming, which is something that has been expected for years. Although I gotta say, some of these combinations are actually quite weird, and it brings the question: how are they going to make sense of them in the lore?
Yeah, because the lore does matter, because technically every class combination has to do with the lore, right? There's a reason why not every class can be a paladin. And the ones who can be, like the Blood Elves, if you ever made a Blood Elf Paladin, you'll know that they got a lot of their power by draining a Naru, right? So every class combination has a reason. Humans can be mages because they were taught the ways of the magic from the elves, right? Back when they were high elves and shit, they taught them how to do magic. Like, there is lore-related storyline behind every single race and why they can be a certain class.
Which is strange for
so some people got their panties in a bunch about Tauren rogues.
We're also getting orcish priests and Tauren mages. So
right.
What are all these new class combinations, and how are they going to make sense out of them? As someone that spends a long time in front of a screen, it can really strain out your eyes.
There you go, strain out your eyes. Don't strain your eyes.
Now, 25% discount.
Use 25% off.
GNG Performance.
There you go. You use the link below his YouTube video.
When World of Warcraft started out, Blizzard really was too conservative on giving race class combinations, and you couldn't even play paladins or shamans across factions.
That's right.
Really
Faction divide.
To come up with a detailed story to make sense of it, with Draenei shamans and the entire storyline with the Blood Elven paladins as well. Now, over time, they started introducing more and more of these combinations, and I gotta say, they made sense, although sometimes they were really kind of stretching it. For example, troll druids became a thing, and that was just totally logical and was actually cool as well, because we got new troll shapeshift forms with very unique looks. However, before we get into the actual new combinations we'll be getting, it is important to know that classes have always been different in the lore than they have been in the actual game, like the game you play. And lore-wise, there are more like 3 times the classes than the ones that are playable, and they're also quite different. There's a lot of nuance between them. Also,
yeah, there are a lot of classes in game that like are not playable. I think the one he just showed there was oh my god, they have like beads around their neck all the time. They're not monks. These guys are more like a ninja-esque class, and people always talked about getting them. I forget what they're called, but there is a name for these classes. Yeah, maybe someone in chat is gonna say, blah blah blah. Blade Master. There you go. As Darius said, Blade Master. Yes, that's what they're called, and people have wanted to play Blade Master for a while now. I want to make sure I didn't skip a part of this video. Here it is. Yeah, there are classes that are not playable. Again, like they also showed Maiev. You know, she's kind of like a hybrid class that's, you know, is not really a playable in-game class. Blade Master from Warcraft 3. That's right. Also Shadow Hunters. Yes.
Between them. Also, the playable classes are not exactly the same across the various.
Or the difference between Orc and Mag'har Orc. Literally being Mag'har Orcs never were exposed to blood from, from Manaroth, exactly, allowing regular Orcs to become Warlocks. Can Mag'har Orcs be Warlocks? Or does that story stand true, that they can't because they never drank the blood of Manaroth?
And the definition is vague, so troll priests
nope,
are
yeah,
not
okay,
the
good,
same
that
as
makes
human
sense.
priests or the Draenei priests. For example, the most natural priest or paladin, when you think about it, at least from the traditional perspective of Warcraft,
humans
would be humans. They
right.
worship the light, they use light spells, they cleanse the blight, heal, and they have an entire paladin order that was created out of combining priests and warriors.
Yeah, well, regular orcs cannot be priests until now, right? That's one of the changes. Regular orcs will be able to be priests now. That's the only class differences between them, which is cool thematically. It is cool. And I kind of like some of that stuff, right? Maybe this whole adding classes to races isn't the best idea. I understand that, like, over time, right, some of these races could have learned certain things, but there's like specific, like, you know, the worshipping of the light, or like Dival makes a great point there with like drinking the blood of Matharoth making you, you know, able to practice warlock spells. right? That should remain the way it is.
However, it was super weird that we
Or
got
not being able to
paladins
able to be a priest because you drank the blood of a demon. That makes sense.
Tauren are all about nature, druidism, and not the light, and having light churches all across Mulgore and the like. Ultimately, that was explained with the light being seen as the sun, and the Tauren more being nature-oriented.
I mean, they can
sort of like
add story
druids.
anywhere with the bronze dragons. Yes, this is very true. We're going to have time travel. Time travel is there, right? You can do anything.
While they use this...
The multiverse of World of Warcraft coming soon. Blizzard gave up on lore. Yeah, they kind of did. They kind of did. But it's okay. Like, you know, cross-faction play is something that people have hated on because of lore, but honestly, cross-faction play makes sense at this point, lore-wise. It does. There's no reason for us to be fighting anymore. Yeah, you can always have little squabbles here or there. You know, you come across some horde at the Tauren Mill, and you want to beat the fuck out of them, or vice versa. The horde come across them in Tauren Mill or something, and they want to fight. Okay, fine, that's fine. But as far as like faction leaders cutting each other's throats, that's not happening anymore. Sylvanas is gone. Anduin gets along great with the Tauren, right? He's doing a good job with them. Same with the Blood Elves. They're not hating on the Alliance anymore, so it just makes sense that you can work together. I mean, we're working together to defeat bosses at the moment, so it's just it makes sense that there's cross-faction play, lore-wise even. But some of these classes, not so much.
Abilities, they really would not be similar in any way to the human or the Draenei paladins.
I mean, Anduin and Bane's relationship is crazy strong. Literally, the Anduin and the Alliance risk their lives along with the Horde, with Thrall, to free Bane.
One of the more weirder race/class combos have been Troll Priest, for example. That made even less
Lisa.
sense. Trolls are all about voodoo, nature, rituals, worshipping the Loa traditions, tribes, and all that stuff. And now they're casting the light and following the church in a way. Well, the best explanation for this is that there's something akin to witch doctors, and the spells they use are a lot different than the in-game ones as they are in the lore. Only recently would Troll and Tauren worshipping the light make sense. As we invaded Argus, we got onto these light ships, we got directly in touch with the Naru, so they could obviously be exposed to the direct source of the light. Now, that is how we have worked with these combos for now, but Blizzard just announced that in the Dragonflight pre-patch, we will be getting 8 brand new race class combos. Some of them have been requested for ages, so let us examine them and see how they are making sense out of them in terms of the lore. Keep in mind, while these are 8, actually race-wise it is like 5, as High Mountain Tauren are Tauren and they're really not that much different. Same is the case with the Lightforged Draenei and the regular ones, there really isn't that much of a difference. Let's start from the easiest to the toughest and see what the explanation for them could be. The easiest one, we are getting High Mountain Tauren Priests. This is as straightforward as it gets. Back in Cataclysm, we got
I think that's
regular
fine. I mean,
Tauren Priests, and the High Mountain are just a variation from the Broken Isles. So
the only difference is the horns, so it's very possible that the High Mountain Tauren learned how to be a priest from the regular Tauren. There you go.
now they're only extending it to the allied race as well. As I mentioned,
Gorlick's
Tauren
welcome.
are like seers as opposed to light followers and light priests, so this one just makes total sense. Now the next little bit more complicated combo is High Mountain Tauren and regular Tauren mages. This one is a bit of a
the mages, okay, like I said, you know, magism and the practice of, you know, bending arcane energy and all that stuff came from the High Elves. The High Elves were the first ones who knew how to do that kind of magic, and they taught it to the humans when they started interacting with each other. Humans learned magic from the High Elves. Now, as far as the Horde goes, I'm not really quite sure of the story of how they learned how to practice, you know. A mage does their magic. A mage doesn't bend the elements. That's what a shaman does. A mage cannot control fire or water. The way that they control those elements is by using arcane energy to bend them, right? That's how they do it. And magism is just a practice of arcane energy. And the High Elves were the ones who really knew how to do that. They taught it to humans. Again, I don't know how the Horde learned it. I'm sure there's a story behind it. But how the Tauren in general are very connected to the elements and the earth and stuff. So that's why shamanism makes sense for them, right? They can bend the element. So why they're learning magism to do it, I have no idea. But it is what it is. Again, some of this stuff doesn't make quite as much lore sense. Yeah, let's give mages another stun, CC. Right? Oh, that's right. The Tauren do have another stun. What about for rogues? A Tauren rogue is going to have like infinite stun. Wow, oh my god. Arena is going to be filled with Tauren rogues. Holy crap.
Proper fit, but I can definitely see how it can be explained. Keep in mind, the Tauren have always been about the Earth Mother, druidism, worshipping nature. They have never really been too much out there in regards to manipulating the arcane and using magic to fight enemies. So the way I can see this explained might be with the Dragon Isles and this elemental magic we might be discovering there. I'm guessing the mages are going to be something very close to the druids in a way. We might realize there is a connection between elemental magic and the arcane and all the ley lines, and these Tauren could be like the more advanced shamans, something similar to how the original orc shamans eventually became warlocks back on Draenor,
Right.
although less on the use of force and just evil magics, but more in regards to the care about the Earth Mother and all that stuff that comes with it. Now, next combo down the line are Draenei Rogues and Lightforged Draenei Rogues. Now, I gotta say, this one is definitely a bit harder to explain, as the Draenei...
Well, I mean, they have those primitive versions of the Draenei. Those guys are definitely rogues. I mean, those guys rogue it up all the time. These boys right here. I mean, they know how to be rogues, so maybe they taught them. Maybe that's not that. I don't think that's that far of a stretch. We'll see. Let's see what Doran says.
The Draenei are not small in any way, shape, or form, and they're definitely
This is true. The size doesn't make as much sense
not
for
graceful.
stealth.
I mean, they literally have hooves. However, Blizzard never said that rogues are just slender, tiny assassins. Rogues are more like a broad class of outlaws, pirates, assassins, and the like. So while they may be rogues, don't look at them as hidden assassins despite technically having stealth. So they could be more like light versions of warriors, and I can't say this is that too hard to add, although I am curious how they're going to officially explain them. Now, next on the line, we have a bit of a weird one, and those are orcish priests. I gotta say, I definitely didn't see this one coming. The reason
This one, how can you use the light and you have the blood of a demon running through your veins? Right? I mean, the green skin is an indication of demonic blood in your body. And now you're playing with the light. Yeah, that probably burn. I'm not going to lie. It probably burns when they touch the light. I have no idea how they're going to do it.
Blizzard decided to just extend priests to all the playable races, so this might just be them really stretching it here. But I gotta say, it is definitely a bit of a weird dynamic. It is similar to having orcish paladins, just I don't know, there's something unholy about this entire combination. There could be an explanation in regards to them being similar to the Tauren, as the orcs and the Tauren are actually quite similar despite them being from different planets, which is why they bonded so easily in the first place. However, the orcs have advanced over the years.
I mean, they have devotion, no biggie. They have the faith. Maybe. I mean, I guess if Blizzard really wants to play that game, they can just say, well, their skin is still green, but the blood, they've kind of urinated it out at this point. I mean, it's not really so much demonic anymore. It's kind of worn off over time. Not so much demonic blood running through their veins anymore. So they can practice a little bit of priestism.
No longer the nomadic tribes living in the wilderness, but now they have their entire civilization. Orcs went to Argus, they saw the Naru, they saw the Light Army, so it is entirely possible that they could have recruited them and taught them as well. I mean, we have an entire orcish Light Army on Altered Draenor, so this...
They are just mildly sick now, yeah, exactly.
It could make total sense. I doubt these priests are going to be those from Alternate Draenor serving Irel, but what has been happening recently with the Legion invasion, I can definitely see this being possible at this point in time. So, now...
See, orc druids make more sense, Andy. You want orc druids? That makes more sense. I can see an orc druid because, you know, the primitiveness, their interactions with the Tauren, like that stuff makes sense. I think Blizzard just didn't do that because they got to make orc Tauren. They got to make orc models for every druid. Like adding a druid to any race is far more complicated than any other class because you actually have to do some work. You got to reskin every single druid form or create some new ones. So that honestly, that's probably the reason they didn't add any any of that. But Orc Druid certainly makes more sense than Orc Priest. Oh, healers, where art thou? I know, man. Healers have been so hard to come by. It's ridiculous. Maybe that's why they're adding priests to everyone. They're like, we need more healers.
To the most strange new combination, and that is the infamous Tauren Rogue, which has been a meme for ages.
This is a good one.
Since World of Warcraft became a
This is a good
thing,
one.
but now it will actually become a reality in Dragonflight. Now, I'm not going to go crazy in depth with this because it is essentially the same explanation as we have for the Tauren Rogues.
True.
I gotta say, this one is just a tad bit more absurd. You can watch my old videos in regards to how powerful are the Tauren as I explain their physical size and all the specifics, but yeah, let's just say they are big, like really big. Not just tall, but they are super heavy, and they also have hooves on top of that. This is a race that can rip out a tree, that can charge a small house, so you definitely don't see the Tauren just going into stealth and sneaking right behind your back.
Right.
So, as I said, the explanation is similar to before, as is the case with the Draenei. They may just be outlaws and just lighter warriors. It isn't actually...
I mean, that's perfectly fine. You could totally imagine a Tauren pirate, right? I mean, even though they love the earth and stuff, and you're not really at sea, I imagine a Tauren at sea would be quite unstable. But a Tauren pirate, okay. So they just shouldn't be able to. They shouldn't be able to spec into assassination or subtlety. That's it.
It isn't.
Or sorry, it's just subtlety. They can't do subtlety. It's a locked spec for them. They can't be able to do it. That makes more sense. Mr. Smite.
As well as various criminals all across Azeroth.
Az, are you cute as Mr. Smite? Is that what you're telling me?
Although, I gotta admit, this is definitely a bit of an absurd combination. Now, all these classes will be available in Dragonflight pre-patch, which, by the look of it, might be sooner than we originally anticipated. Although, with Blizzard, you never really know.
Maybe.
I gotta say, I'm definitely excited with the more race class combos coming, although I would personally like to see more new specs in some future expansions that represent more of the lore side, such as the Witch Doctors, the
more new specs would be great.
And the like.
Yeah.
As a reminder, if you use the link in the description for the next 48 hours,
It's come up many times before.
Discount on GMG performance glasses.
There you go, guys. Check out the glasses. Interesting. So I mean, yeah, he kind of comments at all the stuff we've already talked about.